Welcome, everyone. My name is Susan Patterson. I'm a national leader for the faith community in the fight against human trafficking. Human trafficking is the second largest and fastest growing criminal enterprise in the U.S. and the world. It is predicted to surpass drugs in size in a few short years. When I have supported churches to set up anti-human trafficking ministries, what came up over and over again is that while the ministry group may have understood what human trafficking is and a few things their church could do about it, once they did those few things, their ministry died or they went on to another issue. In this three-part series for churches, beginning with the video on how to create a dynamic anti-human trafficking ministry, you will learn how to set up your ministry to win. This video on taking action covers ideas for many efforts a church can take on. The third video, entitled The Role of the Church in Supporting Survivors of Human Trafficking, covers projects a faith community can take on. The third video is for churches that have already established a solid ministry. I am going to cover so many actions and resources that you can use that you may feel overwhelmed by the end of this video. What I would recommend that you do is to watch the video all the way through or show it to your ministry group and then pray about it. Then once you have decided where you want to start, go back and review that part. This channel, Winning the Fight Against Human Trafficking and Child Exploitation, is designed to equip churches, service clubs, individuals, and groups to quickly get into action, as you won't need to reinvent the wheel. The training videos and interviews with experts cover what works. For those of you who are not familiar with YouTube channels, you can go to the channel by clicking on this icon just below the lower left-hand corner of the video. The channel link is also in the video description below. Once at the channel, go to playlist. Once you have clicked on playlist, you can see the different lists like interview with experts and training videos. Once there, you can click on the training videos list to watch videos where you feel you may have gaps in your knowledge or understanding. If you view at least half of the training videos, you'll be in a position to answer questions when people come up to your table when doing a drive for a nonprofit or some other awareness event. The Interviews with Experts playlist offers information from experts on subjects like how to partner with a nonprofit, or the one on understanding historical trauma in the Black community and the connection to sex trafficking so that one can be effective in working with the Black community. These are just some examples. If your goal is to head up a ministry at your church or service club, if you watch the first 16 training videos, you will be in a position to do that. If your goal is to be a community leader, you will need both the training videos and many of the videos with experts. We also have National Faith Coalition meetings and work groups. You can find dates for upcoming National Faith Coalition meetings and active work groups at our website on the homepage. The main role that the church has in this fight is to prevent human trafficking. Only 1% to 2% of victims are ever rescued. So while we need to continue to support nonprofits to rescue and rehabilitate victims, if we succeed in preventing human trafficking, only then will we have a chance to end it. Ending human trafficking means to step out of one's comfort zone and get to work. It is human nature to have some fear of taking on something new. This is where you need to trust God. Just start with one thing, then doors will open and God will show you the next thing and the next thing and the next. I speak from personal experience on this. God has called an army to fight human trafficking. You only need to do your part. To begin, I would like to address an important topic, which is well-being. After reading some of the stories of victims, I used to sit in my bedroom and just weep. In order to avoid what is called compassion exhaustion from dealing with such a dark issue, you need to make sure you are living a balanced life with friends and family who are not involved with this issue, so you experience light in your life. You need to have fun. I am 69 years old and I boogie board. It is so much fun. So you need to be with family and friends, and you need to have fun, and you need to pray a lot. In this video on taking action, we're going to cover ways to educate your church with examples of awareness events, addressing labor trafficking in the third world, engaging your youth group, protecting the most vulnerable, and how to reduce demand or sex buying. Let's start with awareness events. Freedom Sunday is ideal, and this video covers how to set that up. At a Freedom Sunday, not only do you raise awareness to your whole congregation, you can have a sign-up sheet for people who want to join your ministry. Another event that's popular is a training for parents to protect their children, and that type of event attracts a lot of people once they understand that human trafficking is not just a foreign problem. Many people aren't aware that 80% of U.S. victims are U.S. citizens, and that half of human trafficking victims in the U.S. are minors. Once people are made aware of those two statistics, they'll be motivated to attend your event because now they understand that this issue affects them personally. You can find our PowerPoint presentation for both parents and teens at our website on the Educational Resource tab with a training video to support you if you wanted to lead trainings like that. With regard to awareness events, one of the mistakes I see speakers making is that they overwhelm their audience with the horror of human trafficking with very little information on what people in the audience can do about it. That leaves people discouraged and resigned. In this video entitled Dynamic Speaker Training for Social Justice Issues, one of the points I make is that you need to give people hope. How one can accomplish that is to let people know lots of things they can do. Now they feel empowered. I cover lots of actions people can take in the two-part series on community engagement. How about educating your small groups? One church got permission to create a short video that was shown to all their small groups. That mega church has close to 3,000 small groups, so that made a big difference. The video addressed what human trafficking is, how pervasive it is, and promoted their ministry. How about using your bulletin to make a difference? One church created a column in their bulletin entitled, Did You Know?, which every week addressed one aspect of how predators operate and what parents can do about it. The column was a huge success. You could have a movie night. Some great videos are True Cost, which addresses third world human trafficking, and 8 Days, which tells the story of a girl who was drugged and kidnapped at a party. Afterwards, you can have a panel discussion regarding actions people can take. If you provide childcare for your movie night, more people will come. You can also do a drive for a nonprofit with an education type table where people can pick up flyers when they drop off their items. Make sure you include the 1-888-3737-888 number, which is the National Human Trafficking Hotline number, at all your awareness events so people know who to call if they see signs of human trafficking. Now let's talk about third world labor trafficking, which includes child labor. Of the 40 million slaves in the world, 26 million are third world labor trafficking victims. Raising awareness so people purchase fair trade, ethically sourced food products from the third world helps prevent labor trafficking. It also reduces sex trafficking as families who receive a living wage will no longer need to sell one child to the traffickers so the rest of the family can eat. I have a video on this topic entitled Fair Trade and How We Prevent Labor Trafficking in the Third World that outlines many actions one can take. For now, it would make a big difference if all your church did was to serve fair trade coffee after the services with a flyer so people understand what fair trade means, which is that any product coming from the third world with the fair trade symbol did not involve child labor and was not made by slaves. Any marketing company will tell you that you need to repeat your message to sell your idea. Otherwise, we would only see a commercial once. By serving fair trade coffee week after week, you will build a community of people who are preventing third world labor trafficking, because what feeds labor trafficking in the third world is that people are unwittingly buying slave-made products. Many churches sell chocolate for Easter. Ask them to make sure it is fair trade, meaning it says that on the box. It seems contradictory to be celebrating freedom from sin and selling slave-made products. For any awareness event, you want to have flyers that educate people on how to act, like the one we have on where professionals can get training, the one on fair trade, another one on what human trafficking is, etc. To find flyers like this, they are on the Mobilizing Your Community tab at our website under the drop-down menu under More. Actions are divided into sections, divided by how much time they take. So just scroll down to the 6-hour session to find awareness tables, and you will find the flyers there. Now let's talk about ideas to engage your youth group. How about a poster contest and offering prizes for the best one? Your youth group could ask their school if they could post their flyers there. In hotels and motels around sporting events, another great activity is to put stickers on the inside of the bathroom door stalls where trafficking victims can see them so they know where they can get help. Here is the website where you can get the stickers, and the web link for the site is in the video description below. Freeze framing is a really fun thing to do. Teens make signs with the first person having one that says human trafficking. Then next to them is another teen that has a sign that states is the fastest growing. And then next to them is a third teen whose sign reads in the US. They take their signs to the mall in a group and pose, holding up their signs and holding that pose for a minute. Then they flip over the signs with a different statement and pose again for a minute. Freeze framing gets a lot of attention from people at the mall, and the teens have a lot of fun doing this. Another activity is freedom bag stuffing. Often these victims come in with only the clothes on their back, and it makes them feel welcome to get a backpack that they can call their own with a notebook to write in, some sweats, a teddy bear, etc. You can ask the police and nonprofits what they need in those bags. Many churches have asked their youth to participate in a sleep out in solidarity with homeless youth, given that 1 out of 5 will become victims of human trafficking. The youth raise money and sleep on the ground in a gym for the night with no pillow, only a piece of cardboard, while they are supervised by church volunteers. You can Google sleep out to find more information on this. The youth can also participate in social media campaigns. Campaigns like this were responsible for Apple joining the Fair Labor Association in 2012. Up until then, many of Apple's products were made by labor trafficking victims in the third world. Now let's talk about the most vulnerable populations, which are teens and tweens, foster children, and homeless youth. For your church youth, you can do a teen training, and the PowerPoint for that is at my site on the Educational Resources tab. For homeless youth, in addition to the sleep out, in the third video that's part of this series, I share about a project that churches have taken on to address the needs of homeless youth. With regard to foster children, over 70% of human trafficking victims come from the foster care system. There are close to 500,000 foster kids in the US and 500,000 churches. So we do have the resources to take care of these children. Providing every child with a family is their best protection against becoming exploited. Churches would give me 10 minutes at the end of the service to share what human trafficking is and ways people could do their part to address this issue. I always included becoming a foster parent. After the 5 to 10 minute talk, I would have a table outside, and what I found is that God has called many to be foster parents, but they hesitate because they have concerns or don't know how much support they'll get. I would have people come up to me telling me that they do feel called to be a foster parent, but they work or they rent. You can rent and be a foster parent. For the ones that work, when I let them know that they can still work, as the social worker would come pick up the child from school to facilitate parent visits, Once they knew that, they would immediately sign up to go to a foster care orientation with DCFS, which stands for Department of Children and Family Services. One day, an infertile couple who both made minimum wage came up to my table. They had really suffered over being infertile because their dream had been to have a large family. God put a word on my heart, and I shared with them that they maybe being foster than adopted parents is the path that God wanted them to be on, as the state would provide enough money for them to be able to afford to have the wife stay home with the children, which was their ideal. They looked at each other, then hugged, and started weeping for joy. I've recruited hundreds of foster parents using this model of speaking in front of a church, then having a table outside. What really works here in the church is to have the pastor provide a biblical reference and then have a foster parent or parent share how much these children need us. And that, yes, it is hard, but not hard 24/7. It inspires people when they include in their share a big win of how these children overcame sadness, low self-esteem, etc., and how well they're doing now. Then the pastor directs people to the table outside. Or a foster care agency can come and do the speaking and man the table. If this is an area where you feel called to act, then look for the video that I will have up soon with a working title of How to Effectively Recruit and Support Foster Parents, where I interview a couple that have fostered over 100 children. One church did an event on the resilience of foster children where former foster children spoke. This event had many step up to answer God's call in their life to become foster parents. Finally, let's talk about reducing sex buying. If there was no more sex buying, sex trafficking would end. The main role the church has to play in reducing demand or sex buying is to raise awareness that prostituted people are most often victims of human trafficking. In addition, you want to have your men's group spearhead an effort to provide a program like the Conquer series to address porn viewing, as porn creates fantasies that motivates users to buy sex to fulfill those fantasies. Celebrate Recovery addresses addiction, and it is important that the church address sex addiction because, like any drug, buyers who are sex addicts cannot stop. Both programs are designed for Christian churches. Not only will addressing porn viewing and sex addiction reduce sex buying, it will go a long way towards saving marriages, given that porn viewing is now a component of 66% of divorces. The app Fortify by Fight the New Drug is designed to address porn addiction with teens. Covenant Eyes is a great app to block porn, and Chris Jensen has a complete series for young children that addresses how to talk to them about porn, with one resource being the book, Good Pictures, Bad Pictures. The web address for her site, Protect Young Minds, is in the video description below. When we approach men as a problem to be fixed, they won't be receptive. When men are clear that they have a unique role to play, and we give them an opportunity to be heroes in protecting women and children, your efforts with men will grow. With a men's group, I recommend that you start by showing this video. Engaging men is the key to ending sex trafficking. The video is made up of 8 men who are national or international leaders with their successful efforts to engage men, like Bikers Against Trafficking, Fathers in Hip Hop, Men Standing Against Trafficking, etc. After showing the video, have a discussion afterwards. Then, at another meeting, follow up with the video on 17 ways to reduce sex buying so the men understand what needs to be addressed in raising awareness with other men. You can find the Engaging Men's video on the Interview with Experts playlist, and the one on 17 ways to reduce sex buying is on the Training Videos playlist. As a result of doing only a few activities a year, you could save the life of a child who's being groomed by a trafficker by simply doing a team presentation. You could protect foster children from being victimized by providing them with a family. You could save children from labor trafficking in the third world by simply directing people to make sure they are not buying slave-made products. You could save marriages and prevent sex buying by raising awareness regarding the destructive nature of porn. For comparatively very little effort, your church could make a huge difference in the fight against human trafficking. I want to end with a quote. In the words of Mother Teresa, I can do things you cannot. You can do things that I cannot. Together, we can do great things. Please do support us in raising awareness by subscribing to this channel and liking and sharing this video. Thank you for watching.